welcome to my next Let's Play, which is Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis. Also a childhood favorite of mine. I spent a lot of time as a kid playing this game to death. I'll be honest, I prefer the first game over this. I know that makes me crazy and insane, but I still feel that's true. The way this is gonna go, this is pretty much the first few levels will be handled in a very speedrunish fashion. Then I'll start collecting Chaos Emeralds around the mid-game. It's like a lot of people when they do this game, they kind of just get all the emeralds in Emerald Hill Zone, which I'm more than capable of doing. You know, I've done it before, I just don't care to do it. You know, if that's your thing, go right ahead, but I'm not going to. Oh, and we're already done with the first act. Yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can blast through levels very quickly in this game. But, once I get in the mid-game, I will start collecting Chaos Emeralds, and by the time I get to, like, Metropolis and stuff, I will start using Super Sonic. But I feel like at that point I've earned it, because I've shown I can be competent in this game for most of it, so if you're, no harm, no foul at that point. I just kind of dislike it when the entire game is nothing but Super Sonic. You know, spending the entire game on God mode just seems a bit silly. And we're already at the first boss. I think I just barely started talking and we're already here. This boss is, like most bosses in Sonic games, pathetically easy. 8 hits, he goes down for the count. When he's on his last hit, he'll throw that drill at you, but it's such an easy tell that you should never get hit by it. And if you do, put the controller down and just stop playing. Just stop playing. Video games aren't for you. But yeah, that's already, like, I think, 2 minutes into the video, and we're already done with Emerald Hill. Next up is pretty much everyone's favorite level in the game, Chemical Plant. And what I'm doing right there is, basically kind of an extent of loop jumping. If you jump when Sonic's rolling down an incline, you'll actually gain a ton of speed, which is useful if you're speedrunning. Now granted, it's hard to pull off because if you don't do it the right spot, you'll lose time instead, so be careful. Especially when loop jumping, because if you jump at the wrong incline, you basically halt all your momentum instead of increasing it, which is the entire point of loop jumping. It takes a lot of practice to get it down right, but when you know how to successfully loop jump and jump off of slopes and inclines to increase your speed, it becomes very satisfying to pull off. And it's practically mandatory if you want to speedrun these games. I mean, obviously not everyone cares to speedrun, but there you go. Anyway, we're in Act 2 already. Don't worry, the later levels will spend more time in those. Anyway, what am I taking my time here for? Well, this little glitch. Basically, if Tails can push through that door, and it allows you to move right past it. You're not supposed to go this way normally. The game intends you to spend about a couple minutes moving around this level. And if you jump right there, your momentum will carry you past this entire section. If you've never played this game before, the entire section is a rising water section filled with something called Mega Man. It's kind of irrelevant what it's called, but it's a rising water section that most people despise. And a lot of people have trouble with it. I don't get why. I never found it particularly difficult. But if you're having trouble with it, you can easily just skip past it like that. But yeah, that's the end of the second level. We're making good progress. There's 11 levels in, we're already through the second level. You can tell I've played this game many times as a kid. Anyway, we have a Aquatic Ruin Zone. Not nearly as fast-paced a level as Emerald Hill or Chemical Plant, but I still like this level. It's a pretty chill level. Oh, and here's a glitch. If for whatever reason, though, with those huge bushes, you won't take any damage while you're in them. I don't get why, but there you go. And that's the end of Act 1. If I ever do Sonic CD or Sonic 3 Knuckles, I will not be advancing through those games nearly as fast as this. I just feel Sonic 1 2 are more interesting when you try to speedrun them, whereas Sonic CD and 3 Knuckles are more interesting to explore and dig around in. And that's kind of how I'll handle those games. Anyway, a lot of people like to avoid the bottom path because it's full of water, and people hate water in Sonic games. I don't, but I'm bizarre and should probably be locked up in a mental institution because I like Labyrinth Zone. But anyway, I actually think this is the faster path. I'm not maybe the top path is faster if you really know what you're doing, but in general, I have more success when taking this bomb path. For whatever reason, he just spin dashes a lot faster underwater. Maybe it's something to do with the weird quirk in Sonic's spin dashing physics. I don't know. Maybe someone at Retro probably knows why. Anyway, that pillar won't rise until you actually move off of it. So, if you're speedrunning, get off of it as fast as you can. And if you stay on the top of those pillars, you can easily take out Robotnik with no problem. The thing is, if you get stuck on the bottom, you have to wait for the arrows to come out and jump on them in order to get to the top and hit them. But that's not too difficult. You really shouldn't have any problems with him. And now time for controversial opinions. With your host, Hukos. Casino Night Zone is actually one of my least favorite levels in the game. I would say, to me, it's the worst level in the game. Now, I'm using a bit strong dialogue there. When I say worst, I just mean least favorite. Compared to the first 3 levels in the game, I find Casino Night kind of dull. I mean, it's colorful, which is nice, so I'm just talking in terms of level design. I don't really care for it. I don't care for the pinball aesthetic. And if I'm being really controversial, I think Casinopolis and Sonic Adventure did the casino aesthetic a lot better, even though, 3D game. And I really feel like Casino Night Zone's kind of a letdown after the way the first 3 levels are structured. They're made at such a brisk pace that it feels like you're going at breakneck speed, and then this level happens, and it's a pace killer to me. And that's why I don't really care for Casino Zone. And if I'm being really controversial, I would say that Casino Night Zone is my least favorite level in the classic series. Not in the series, not in the entire franchise. No. Absolutely not. But, if we're just talking straight up classic, Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 Knuckles, and Sonic CD, I would say Casino Night Zone is my least favorite level. I would take Marble Zone over it. I don't think Marble Zone's nearly as bad as you make it out to be. And I just don't find Casino Night Zone all that interesting. Now, if you're adding games like, 3D games into the mix, like, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, blah blah blah, or Secret Rings, then yeah, that conversation only takes a different turn. But yeah, we're in special stages. Special stages are how you get Chaos Emeralds, and they tend to differ from game to game. Well, they used to. Nowadays, the franchise seems to like spamming the Sonic 2 special stages ad infinitum, which I'm not really a big fan of. I like Sonic 2 special stages for what they are, but at the same time, I don't like how they're being spammed all the time. It's just annoying. It's not a game-breaking issue for me. It's not something I'd nerd out over, like, I hate you, Sega, blah, 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 blah. No, it's just... I'd rather they come up with something interesting, because Sonic 1, it's this weird game thing. It's hard for... Sonic 1's first stages are hard to quantify, but, Sonic 2 is the half pipe, Sonic 3 Knuckles is the blue sphere, Sonic CD is the weird alien hunting game, and even the 8-bit games have their own unique take on special stages, and I like that. I like that they're different in every game. Now, I understand not every Sonic game needs special stages, like some of the 3D games like Adventure and Adventure 2. And that's fine. I don't think every Sonic game needs to have special stages. But if you're going to have them, I think you should make them different from each other. Because at the end of the day, they're glorified minigames so you can get the good ending. That's really what special stages are at the end of the day. But anyway, a lot of people think the Sonic 2 special stages are the hardest in the series. I would say someone's never played the ones in Sonic Chaos, but not a lot of people have played Chaos, so... And speaking of Chaos, I think it's an okay game. If I'm going to comment on the quality of that game, it's okay. It's certainly not bad. But I wouldn't put it amongst my all-time favorite Sonic games, no. But that's kind of how I feel about the 8-bit era in general. It gets a lot of shit, but I think it's okay. The really only one I would consider bad, like, and when I say bad, I don't mean mediocre, like Labyrinth. That's just a mediocre title. I would say bad would be something along the lines of Sonic Blast. Or Tails Sky Patrol, which was also really bad. Other than that, none of them I really consider awful. Speaking of the 8-bit titles, I would like to do Tails Adventure with you. That's actually my out of all the 8-bit games, that one's my personal favorite. Anyway, you can take this elevator up twice and get an invincibility box. One thing I noticed about Casino Night Zone, there's a huge shortage of special stages compared to other. Like in Act 1, there's only one special stage entrance, and it's in a very out of the way area. That's the only way I could really show it. I actually had to scrap a run I made of this game because I couldn't get to it. And I actually really did want to show it off. When I do these Sonic games, I usually try to show off areas people don't normally go to. Because I just feel like it spices up the playthrough, especially in comparison to other Sonic playthroughs on YouTube, because pretty much everyone has LP'd the classic games to death. So if I'm going to do them, I want to try to do something different with the games. Because I don't want it to be just another YouTube LP, because then there's really no point in tackling the series at all. Anyway, we're in special stage number 2. They get progressively more difficult. I think the 5th one is the hardest, though. That's really the only one I would say would give me any trouble. Because 1, 2, 3 are fairly simple. 4's moderately difficult. 5 is actually really hard, and 6 is fairly difficult. And 7 has always been rather easy for me. But a lot of people also complain about Tails in the special stages, and I actually purposely included Tails for a specific reason, to showcase that it's not that hard. Yes, I know that having Tails increases the ring count, which is the main issue with having him with you. And that's a legitimate criticism. I'm not going to deny that. But at the same time, Tails doesn't lose rings that you would have gotten yourself. He can only lose rings you never collected. So there's really no point in all the bitching people throw at the game when you have Tails with you. Now if you want to complain that they arbitrarily increase the ring count, then okay, yeah, go right ahead. Some of the ring counts are... Especially Stage 5 can be somewhat sadistic. But anyway, we're at the boss. There's two ways of doing it. The slow but more reliable way, or the fast way, which is I'm doing the fast way. This way is more likely to get you killed if you aren't careful. Because the weird thing with the spin dashing physics in Sonic 2 is that once you jump out of a spin dash, your momentum is locked. Your controls are completely locked, and you can't do anything until you hit the ground, or you bounce off something. So you're completely vulnerable to any attacks, which is why it's risky. You can easily get yourself killed that way, but if you know what you're doing, it's worth it in order to save time. Anyway, that's the end of part 2 of Let's Play Sonic 2, and see you guys later.